What up guys, welcome back to the Charge Go channel, and in this video we're going to talk about the experiences of someone like me who mostly drove an ICE or internal combustion engine car and then transitioned to a electric vehicle, a fully electric battery vehicle. And what I did specifically was go from a Mercedes CLS to a Rivian R1T. So stay tuned till the end of this video to find out all about my experiences, how I feel about it, do I regret it, do I not regret it. Please make sure to hit the like button if you like this video. If you want to leave a comment, please leave a comment. And as always, please subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have subscribed, hit the notification bell to find out when we post videos like this and other videos on this channel. So let's get into this video. Let me talk about first my experiences as mostly driving an ICE car for a few years. So when I say mostly, it's because I also have a Tesla Model 3 that I put on Turo usually, but sometimes I drive that as well. And Tesla Model 3 it's very good for everyday driving, but I just use that for Turo while I drive my ICE car every day. And the ICE car is a 2016 Mercedes CLS400. It's not something too special, nothing too crazy. It's not a big gas guzzling gas vehicle. It's not certainly not as much of a gas consuming vehicle as a Mercedes G-Wagon, for example, but it is still a car that gets about 27 miles per gallon for highway and about 18 or so for the streets, city streets. And in California where I live, of course, gas is actually very expensive compared to other parts of the United States. But recently, electric prices have been going up as well, making electric vehicle ownership not too much cheaper than gas car ownership. And the thing about driving the CLS 400 was that it was a very reliable car. At least I thought at first. It didn't break down at all. I've never had any trouble with it. I make sure to take care of cars. I put in the right gas in it. I put in the 91 octane level gas in it, which is the recommended octane gas. And it was treating me well. It took me from point A to point B with almost no problem. But then one day there was a major software issue with it where the navigation screen for some reason stopped working, and then it started just turning on and off. And I took it to Mercedes, and it was actually a very expensive repair process. And Mercedes actually told me, the dealer where I took it to, that after a recent rainstorm in the area where I live, a bunch of people have been taking in their Mercedes to get some service done on issues similar to what I had. So that tells me there's a systemic issue with Mercedes that needs solving. But Mercedes did not offer to pay fully the issue with my car. It was not under warranty, and I was very disappointed in that. Now, even before this happened is when I had decided to go the EV route, and this even further solidified whether I made the right decision or not. At least for now, that's what I'm thinking, that I made the right decision by going to an EV. The Rivian R1T, you could watch our video on our purchasing of the Rivian R1T, or you could also watch our video on the actual delivery of our R1T and our initial thoughts. And in that video, we also talk about some issues we had with it. It was only a few issues thus far, and I've driven the Rivian R1T for a few hundred miles already, and it's been treating me well generally, except for those few issues I talked about in that video. Now, the Rivian R1T is, of course, a fully electric truck, and the one we got was with the max battery pack, which has about 330 miles of range, and that's a lot of range for an EV. It's up in the upper end of EVs. It's not as much as a Lucid, for example, but it's still in the upper end. And Rivian has a large pack that's coming soon that is up to 400 or more miles of range. But the 330 is still a lot more than the Model 3, for example, which is about 200 or so. And the Rivian's range is pretty accurate when it comes to the marketed range and the actual range people experience. And what I can say is that if I were to drive the Rivian every day for a decent distance, definitely it's a lot more inconvenient than driving a gas car. A gas car, you just fill it up with gas and you're good to go. It takes 5 minutes, that's it. With the Rivian R1T, especially since it's a non-Tesla, And as of yet, in the area I live, I don't have access to Tesla supercharging stations, which are much better than other public EV charging stations. It is a little inconvenient to have to sometimes worry about charging with the Rivian R1T. So I charge the Rivian R1T at home, so far only with the level 1, very slow 110 volt charging station. It's a little portable charging station, I guess you could call, or cable that you plug into any regular outlet. And between the Rivian I have and the Tesla Model 3 I have, I try to not charge them at the same time because I worry about the total current use of the house. But it is a little inconvenient. I have to worry about charging one or the other, and I drive a decent amount, but I don't drive every day. So that helps me not have to worry about the Rivian's charging a lot for now. So I drive maybe 5 days a week, and each of those 5 days a week, maybe I drive about, let's say, about 45 miles combined total. And with the 45 miles, the Rivian R1T with just the level 1 regular plugging outlet charging, it definitely does get strained, and the battery does get drained pretty quickly. So I have also got the Rivian wall charger, which is a level 2 220 volt charger, and I just have not installed it yet at my house. So I'm going to get an electrician to install that at my house. And the good part is that a lot of jurisdictions actually give you a rebate or some sort of grant just for having an EV, and in particular for getting the level 2 charging station installed at your house. So in my jurisdiction, I qualify for that. So I'm going to apply for that, and that's going to offset the cost of buying the wall charger from Rivian, which cost $500 at the time I got it, but it is a little more expensive now. So after I install the wall charger, I think then I won't have any range anxiety, as a lot of electric vehicle folks call it. So the Rivian R1T will not be too much of a concern in terms of charging, and the Tesla, I'll continue charging with the 110 volt I've been using. And I do take the Tesla to superchargers sometimes, but of course the Tesla's on Turo a lot, so I'm not the one who has to worry about the charging most of the time. So what I can say is that I, as of yet, somewhat feel like my Mercedes CLS400 was a little bit of a more convenient option because of not having to ever worry about charging. And why does someone who owns a non-Tesla have to worry about charging? Because the Electrify America supercharging stations, for example, or charging stations, they're not technically called supercharging stations. The Electrify America charging stations are very, let's just say, some of the charging stations don't work as promised. So you get there and you see that it says that the charger is out of service. So that's one issue. The other issue is that there's not a lot of them. So, and there's usually a line at them. Now, this is also an issue with Tesla supercharging stations, but it would be nice to have the option to go to Tesla supercharging stations, which thankfully pretty soon Elon Musk of Tesla has said that is going to be an option for all electric vehicles to use Tesla supercharging stations, at least in North America, but in many other countries as well too. Now, the good part about owning the Rivian R1T is not paying for gas, of course, but as I said, electricity has gone up in price in most parts of the world, and that has caused the cost of owning an electric vehicle to be not too much lower than the cost of paying for gas. And a lot of macro economists are expecting gas prices to continue to stay at the level they're at or go up. So eventually, maybe the gap is large again, and owning the electric vehicle is still a lot cheaper than owning the gas car, but we shall see. We'll have to wait and see. And I will make a video for you guys on when I install the level 2 charger from Rivian and how that experience shakes out for me, about installing it and also about how the Rivian ownership proceeds with the level 2 charging station if I ever have range anxiety or things like that again. Now, another benefit of owning the Rivian R1T is not having to worry about things like oil changes, which I'd have to worry about with the CLS. And the Rivian R1T is just a luxury pickup truck. It really looks nice from the outside. It's amazing from the inside. All the features of it are incredible, and they're constantly doing software updates, making them even better. For example, there was a software update recently that made the camera quality, the display camera quality, even better. So there's all these features that are coming on Rivian, and eventually Rivian may even have a software update with full self-driving like Tesla has. So it'll be cool to wait and see that. The Rivian does have what's called Driver Plus or Driver Assist. Sorry, it's Highway Assist or Driver Plus. And these features allow it to have lane centering as well as automatic cruise control, meaning if the traffic slows down, the vehicle slows down with it. And it also turns with the lanes of the road. And I've had no issues with that so far. I've used it several times and it works pretty well. Now, what I would say is that if you live in an apartment building, I do not recommend getting a non-Tesla electric vehicle. I would barely recommend getting a Tesla electric vehicle. You still have to go to Tesla supercharging stations. You still have to go to some other public charging stations if you live in a apartment building, because most apartment buildings do not have charging stations, but some do. Very few of them do, but most apartment buildings and condominium buildings do not have charging stations. So I do not recommend getting a non-Tesla electric vehicle in that case. But what I would say is that if you live in a house or a townhouse or something like that, then it's definitely worth considering getting an electric vehicle, especially if you could have a level 2 charging station installed at your place of residence. If you can get that, then definitely I do recommend getting the electric vehicle, because you could easily charge at home and it's relatively fast charging with the level 2 charger, and you won't have range anxiety. But if you do not have the option of getting the wall charger and you drive every day, let's say at least 45 miles or 50 miles combined each day, then I would say I would not recommend getting an electric vehicle. You're going to have a lot of range anxiety and it's going to cause you a lot of headaches. You're going to end up going to charging stations and it's not going to be less expensive than just owning a gas car and paying for gas. But definitely, everyone's situation is different, but these are just my 2 cents. And if you guys have any thoughts, if you disagree with anything I said, please leave a comment below. And thanks for watching this video.